All right, so I'm gonna do another video. So again, anyone joining me, my name's Nahul, and I am a cancer survivor. And that was a very hard term for me to say and be ready for and to actually voice. Just having that word, utter my words that I have cancer was pretty hard. I used to say the big C, and I never could say the word cancer. And that was just something that I had to grapple with and deal with. But anyways, not only did I have cancer, I have like one of the rarest cancers possible. So that was another crappy thing to deal with. So I have PMP cancer. I had PMP cancer, or who knows, but which is pseudomyxoma. And you can, if you watched the video before, it was about me finding out and stuff. So after I found out that I had cancer, basically in February, my work was amazing. I'm a high school maths teacher, and they were so supportive, and they were really, really great. And basically took leave a month into the school year, because that's when I found out. So I found out February 2019. And I was trying to figure, you go through all these scans, and you go through the PET scan, which obviously was really, really scary. I think when you find out you have cancer, and then you find out what type of cancer, and then you've got to go for this PET scan, and you're like just crossing your fingers and hoping that, it hasn't spread everywhere. I think that was probably the scariest scan that I had to do. And it was something that I did on my own. I just had to do it on my own. And I was petrified. Forget the first MRI. I guess I was naive, because in our brain, you think PET scan is, as soon as you hear PET scan, you think, oh, it's going to tell me everything. And I think I was like, okay, I hope it hasn't I gotten everywhere. Obviously, after I did the PET scan, I got the results, and it was just but it was in the peritoneum cavity. And luckily it didn't spread to any of my organs, which was like my fear. Did it go anywhere else? Did it move to my essential organs? Because when I was doing my research, I was like, okay, they're gonna have to take out pretty much everything, debulking they call it. They're gonna have to take out everything possible, because the peritoneum cavity can touch everything, all your major organs and everything, because that's what it's there for. So I was like, okay, as long as it's not in, they don't, you kind of know through the PET scan or an MRI. So I was like, okay, it didn't touch everything. So the then is like, where do I get this surgery done? And because the surgery is the big part of your cancer. Like, if they can operate, is it operable? Is it not operable? All those questions go through your brain. So and every cancer is different, obviously, and your oncologist and your surgeon work together, but where you get it done. Like, I feel like the surgery part is like probably one of the most important parts of this journey. And I think we kind of think chemo is going to save us, but I feel like the first step is your surgery. Maybe that's because of my husband, I don't know, but I just feel like those hands are really important. And so I visited both the units in Sydney, and then my husband's best friend trained underneath the world's best in the UK. And obviously we lived in the UK. We had intention, my husband doing his fellowship back there, doing something back there. We were thinking of moving back, whatever, all that kind of stuff. So we looked into the UK, because my husband's family lives in Kenya. My family lives in Canada. So, it was a big process of figuring out where to do this. Do I uproot my daughter? Do I take her? All that kind of stuff. And I just went, you know what? I want the best hands to help me out here. So I recommend do your research. Research is key to help you. At least it did for me. Research, the type of cancer, what it means, the gradings, all that kind of stuff, and write it down. Like, I think that's really, really important, is write all this stuff down, because your brain is so overloaded with this diagnosis that you kind of start like forgetting stuff. And so like I always have this like book next to me, and I just, used to just write down like crazy questions that I would either research or make sure I had ready for the doctors. The other thing that's really important is when you're meeting your doctors, take your medical files with you. Doctors are amazing, or surgeons are amazing with what they do, and they have amazing secretaries behind them putting everything together, and nurses helping them out. Like, I mean, they have a whole team helping them out, but sometimes they don't have things at their fingertips, they'll, and it could kind of slow down the process. So I always recommend, if you've gotten your scans done, if you, any reports or MRIs or anything like that, always make sure that you get a copy of your scans, and you might have to pay something for like the digital copy or a disc or a thumb drive or memory, whatever, USB stick drive or whatever you want to call them. You might have to pay for them, but it's well worth it. So every time you get an image done, make sure you get that digitally for yourself, and also the report if you can. So it's really, really important. Keep your file ready. Like I've got like a massive medical file that anytime I went to doctors, I would take it. And that's obviously advice from my husband. Like I just was like, why? But it came in handy so many times. And then obviously your questions that you have, write them down. Like, cause sometimes like sleep sucks when you're going through this, or sometimes people like sleep, or sometimes however you deal with your stress, but you'll have questions, and I think it's really important for you to feel comfortable being able to ask the questions and get a good answer. Another really thing I think was really good advice that someone gave me is maybe ask permission to see if you can record your sessions with your doctors, because sometimes in retrospect, when you listen back, you're like, oh, okay, or you forgot something, or you had a question but then it was answered, or something like that. Or bring somebody with it, like an advocate, your friend or your partner, or a family member with you, because and if you don't have anyone, record it, because it will help you when you get home, because there's just so much. So those are like my little tips. Obviously bring your medical file, see if you can record. Sometimes doctors are a bit funny about that. And bring somebody with you that can help you unpick it, because you will have questions in your brain afterwards that you want to ask. And also, see if you can, ask if you don't mind if I email you later if I have further questions and things like that. So, kind of take a little bit more control, I think, of the process really helped me make my decision, who I felt comfortable with, and I decided to do my surgery in the UK, just because I wanted the best hands behind me because of the type of cancer that I had. But because it was so rare, there's very few units that do this type of cancer, and it's a unit. So also I recommend is, if you're going for, breast cancer or whatever type of cancer, go see the ward, maybe speak to patients, speak to the nurses, because that's going to be the team that's going to help you. Okay, obviously not the people, like the patients, but the nurses, the stations, the environment of the hospital that you're going to be in. I know if you're in like Canada, if you are watching in Canada, hi, you don't really have a choice very much, but and the 2 major cancer hospitals, or 3 major cancer hospitals in, well, at least me coming from Toronto, they're very specific. So if you have this, you go to this hospital, you go to this hospital. But yeah, so a little bit different. You usually don't really have much choice, but I do say go see the wards. Have a visual idea of what you're going to be going into at least. I think that's really helpful. So that's like my little advice about, after the diagnosis and how to prepare mentally for the journey ahead. Obviously do your research, speak to people that have gone through it, usually the doctors can give you that, or the nurses can give you that. Usually have like a nurse consult person, that contact person that you is your point of contact, at least here in Australia. And you can contact them to say, can I speak to people that have gone through it if you have any further questions on like a other side of things. So I found that really useful and really helpful. So I thought I would let you all know about that, because you're so daunted by the whole process and so scared, that I think sometimes the more control you have over the situation kind of minimizes the fear. At least I feel it did. So till the next one, see you soon. Bye.